Welcome everyone. We are here with Anna Tamm. She's helping us. She sold two deal of us in Atlanta in our new market. She's killing it. Appreciate what you do. She's a broker only. If you want, you can present yourself. How old are you? How many transactions did you make on the past? I know that you have a rental portfolio as well, and we go from there.
Okay, so my name is Ann Tamm. I'm driving in the rain in Georgia, so please ignore me while driving. Pull over shortly. Started real estate, I would say about 24 years ago, around year 2000. Um, did 2 years of regular licensee work and then started my own brokerage company. Outside of that, because I come from a mergers, acquisitions, technology industry in the background, real estate was a bit of a let me wind down, do this as a sideline hobby opportunity. Well, hobby became a full time business and then some. Exciting. I love it. Do it with a passion. Always find another trick in the book to learn. They say old dogs have seen every trick in the book, not quite. I learned a few new things thanks to Augustin and the team. So outside of that, not much else to say.
So you've been doing for like you have a broker for 20 years right now?
Yeah, I think more like 24 years because I think I have a license from 98, but I did 2 years normal licensee work and then passed the brokerage education, certification, and set up my own company. The
How
problem is
many?
people that are independent like you, they don't want to work for anybody else. They don't want to follow corporate governance, franchise rules. They do their own thing.
Yeah. And how many transactions did you make in all this time so far?
I never count, but I would say probably on average 10 transactions per month. The spring and summer is always busier than autumn and winter, but sometimes it's 30, sometimes it's 8. So honestly, working too hard to do the accounting or the bookkeeping. So we we fly through transactions.
I love it. And how many are right now on your team?
16 people that are part of Antime LLC.
Okay, amazing. So, have you been familiar with wholesaling? What we do, because right now, for everyone that don't know, Ain is working with us on our wholesaling business.
Yes.
She financed a buyer for one of our houses, 500 Ontario. She make, I think, almost 12,000. We make almost 16,000 on that transaction, and it was a tricky situation. Have you been familiar with wholesaling or no?
You're talking about me?
Yes.
Yeah, I work with a lot of wholesalers. Yes.
Okay.
I don't want to say that I'm doing wholesaling, but I have had cases where I pick something up and I sell it the next afternoon for 40,000 more. Actually, I'm sitting in the street about to go into a project when we're finished with this podcast, where I bought a property on Thursday, and somebody called who I had offered it to previously, maybe a month prior to that. And at the time, they said, no, 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 not for us. It's too expensive, whatever. Then they called me just as I had closed on it myself instead of offering to the clients. And I said, okay, since the title search is as fresh as today's closing, the only way you can have it is you close tomorrow because we can use all of the same documentation and I'll flip it to you, but still at the same number I gave you a month ago. And they must have had a specific need. They earmarked the money. So no questions asked. They closed the next day, and I made a nice $40,000 in a matter of 24 hours. Yes.
So, do you want to talk a little bit about what's your role in the company? Like, what your typical day looks like?
Since I'm the crazy one that set this up, and I'm always flying by the seat of my pants, I start in the morning, whether it is this morning, two construction projects, then the clients, then you have to show a few houses. I just came from the city. We looked at a couple of properties. Now I'm back to wrap up a couple of things that we need to do again, repairs at some of the rentals, then hopefully to the office for an hour to do some paperwork, and then out again to look at some properties. Then I have to deal with closing out one rental, transfer some of the decor to another rental, and start the same thing over again, where maybe this weekend we'll do open house, either art exhibit or estate sale. I decide how much I want to deal with, because that's a side passion of having decor, staging materials, art, where I have local artists I can invite to bring their work. Whatever it takes to open doors, advertise for extra audience, and get more people in. Because from a sales perspective, anytime people see a crowd at a place, they get nervous and they want to be part of the action. So I generally do not prefer to do, I'm sorry, I do not want to do one appointment singularly for one party and then we get another one after them, because there's a lot more pressure when people don't know what the other folks in the property are after. It could be an exhibit, it could be a purchase, but it could be a real estate transaction. So the more the merrier.
Amazing. So you told me that you have a few rentals. How many rentals do you have, and how do you handle your time right now?
Uh,
Because you are doing a ton of stuff at the same time.
yeah. No, part of the problem is I'm not a good delegator. I like to have the hand in the cookie jar in everything that I do. I think I own 18, 19 properties today, because it's always a question of what have we sold, what are we about to sell, what we are about to buy. But most of the properties are rented. I have one that is standing empty because I over improved it for one of my kids, who in the meantime moved to Aspen, Colorado, and is not coming back. So I'm being very selective as to who I'm willing to let the house go to, or just keep it empty. So I think that's about it.
Okay, and how do you acquire these houses? Do you buy from wholesalers, or you buy it on
Um,
you pick it on the market?
no, most times I go to sources that I have and say, okay, do you have something potentially coming up? Like I am in Fairways Court right now in Kennesaw, one of my favorite streets. I talked to the HOA, I talked to the neighbors, I talked to my tenants. Have you seen anybody potentially planning a move? So the best deals are the ones that I find privately. So
Of
potentially
course.
like wholesalers. Other times it's just regular listings. But if I know the product, more often than not, I'm able to acquire it at a price that is interesting for me.
Okay, we lost her. Let's see.
Because a lot of them have my profile, they know what I like to buy. Normally, three-bedroom townhomes have 50 monthly dues, and like to have the either level so I can improve them into additional living space, or have a garage on the lower level, because we can, so basically I have a good network of Brazilians, and they make great tenants, normally two incomes, husband and wife. Husbands are generally in construction, the wives are in either cleaning services or culinary, cooking, catering, etc. So anything that accommodates the family and is that tremendous for the husband's entrepreneurial. I need to put my tools, my materials, whatever, someplace that is protected from the weather. But then also, so again, Fairways Court, where we are now, I bought about 17 units here over the last probably 6 years. Kept two of the best ones for myself, sold all of the others, but in the meantime have become friends with probably a fifth of the population. And also a lot of the units are ones that I sold to my investors, because there are a lot of rentals here. What I like is it's fee simple complex, so everybody owns the structure, but there is an HOA for land because it's a land trust. If you own the building, you have to be part of the land trust HOA. So we pay
Okay,
$48 per month for landscaping, and the rest is wild, wild west. We do whatever we want, we can rent, but it's always tremendously clean and nice because of the land HOA.
that's a really cheap for a HOA. Right now, we are acquiring a
Because it's
house
landscaping.
in
Mhm,
landscaping. Yeah, we are acquiring a condo
mhm.
in Dallas and the
Yes.
HOA is 480 a month.
And that's for how big of a space? 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms?
It's a 3 bedroom, 3 bath.
Yeah. So that was my experience when I was shopping in Florida, and it took me 2 years to find a townhome right on the beach with no monthly dues. Because to your point, HOAs for 2 bedroom townhomes start at 500 and go to 1600 per month. And if you lock and leave, I'm there maybe 4 times a year. It's not very attractive to pay $1,500 a month for something that stands on its own, locked up and ignored. So there are pockets, and same thing in Atlanta. The more desirable areas like East Cobb, Marietta, there are no fee simple complexes. So you have to figure out if there's any way to get in and have a possibility to rent, which is generally almost impossible. So I have to buy there either as an LLC or as a trust, or so normally LLC trust, because then we make the tenant the beneficiary of the trust, and nobody can say that that individual cannot live there because I own the trust and I make the beneficiary. So also when you change the tenants, let's say once a year, they can't complain compared to if you buy a property as an LLC and then you say it's a LLC member, maybe a minority LLC owner, partner, member, whatever. The HOAs are smart enough to figure out that it's just somebody using a loophole of LLC ownership to rent it. So my latest and greatest discovery was I buy it as a trust, and I change tenants like underwear, saying they are my beneficiaries, and nobody can say why I have people changing beneficiary status every year. They are more or less attractive as friends who I accommodate for free, for argument's sake. So it's very difficult to make a legal argument against that.
Okay. Do you want to talk a little bit about the trust, the difference between a trust and an LLC that you looks
Yeah.
that you
So
know a lot?
yeah. So what happened during the previous recession, not the 2006 to 2010, but beginning of 2000s, we had in a very expensive, desirable area a couple of condominium communities where there were rental restrictions. So people started losing jobs or had to take jobs in Timbuktu to have a job in the first place. So I started getting phone calls from people who said, we cannot figure out how to save ourselves from foreclosure because we are not allowed to rent. We cannot sell because there's a rental restriction, or we're upside down on value for sales purposes. So I said, no problem, let me think about it. So the first thing I did was said, okay, let's transfer the property from you to an LLC. I find you a tenant, hopefully for 2 or 3 years, and we will make them a minority non-voting member of the LLC. And because LLC is not a physical person, nobody can complain that we put Joe Blow in the property, supposedly as a company employee or member, but actually as a straightforward tenant. A lot of that started happening over the years, and HOAs learned that they were being tricked. So, one of the HOAs in the city, a different landscape, different environment, had in their covenants a little snippet about who is allowed to be in the complex outside of the owners while nobody is allowed to rent. And it said
Okay.
trust. Mhm. So, trust, and I had just created a family trust for my own purposes because I have 4 children. I said, that's piece of cake. I know how easy it is to set up a trust, and it is very easy to change beneficiaries. It just takes a piece of documentation. So, since nobody else has come around to recognizing that as an option, because that's only one complex where I'd seen that in the bylaws covenants, now, if we have a tricky situation where we can't rent, we can't sell because of the value proposition, or don't want to sell because of the uniqueness of the property, whatever the case is, we acquire it or transfer it to trust ownership and then put a tenant in there, but again, submit a piece of paper with trust documentation saying they are a beneficiary of the trust. And the HOA so far has not even thought about questioning it because I might be the only crazy one that has come up with the proposition. So
Okay.
another loophole that's been very helpful.
So you get around the HOA just with having the trust and having the beneficiary.
Beneficiary,
Oh,
correct, correct.
yeah.
Well, because they prescribe it in their own bylaws. In this specific case, it's in Buckhead, but other HOAs, because they don't have it anyway in the documentation. If you say, well, it's a trust, which again is not a physical person, and the beneficiary of the trust is the one that lives in the property, makes sense. And because it's so unusual, because I had not heard about it myself until I had read this documentation for the HOA. I said, wow, that's a gold mine. So, by a total fluke, because I was arguing with somebody about different options, and I said, listen, it really doesn't make sense to buy here. Let's move on and find a different property. By reading the documentation, we came up with a gold mine. So, it's been very attractive. Okay,
Amazing.
I see that my battery is low. So if God forbid I lose you, it's not by design.
Okay.
But you
Do you
might
want?
want to ask any questions because I may or may not be on for a bit longer.
Okay. Tell the people how we met and how much money we are going to be doing on just
Yes.
February.
Yes. Okay. So the nice part is there was a property at 500 East Ontario Avenue that came to me through one of my clients, a young woman that wanted to see it. I looked it up in on the internet. I said, I don't think so because there were a couple of quirks with it. But while I found her something else, I drove by when it was convenient, looked at the property and found it very interesting. Called Agustin, tried to see if I couldn't make it an acquisition. Timing was off. Somebody else already had it under contract. Moving right along, I bought something else in Kennesaw. A few days went by. Agustin called and said, would you still be interested? I said, sadly, the ship has sailed. I bought something else, but I'm very interested in the property for various reasons. I think you might benefit from having it listed by somebody like myself. Again, I don't want to get into all the details, but it was interesting for me to see what Agustin and company was doing in Texas and how they were running their business. So for me, it was an experiment. I offered to do it free of charge just for the sake of putting my foot in the door. So I listed it gratis to be able to develop a relationship, see if it could be a partnership. At the end of the day, it turned out that the sellers were going through a nasty divorce. The husband had 63,000 in outstanding legal invoices. The wife had 15,000 in legal invoices still to be paid. Both lawyers were smart to attach liens to the property, and there was no way to crack this nut apparently because of the huge amounts of money on a property that was running around 350,000. So while the lawyers pretty much gave up and washed their hands of it, Agustin, Isaiah, the team allowed me to do a little bit of legwork, and I took
Magic.
on the.
We told magic.
No, no. Okay, well, thank you. But anyway, I was able to negotiate 63,000 down to 10,000, which was a miracle. And the wives that 15,000 to 10,000 because they could smell blood and they saw their husband pay out. So they wanted to have a piece of the action as well. So after squeezing every bit of juice out of the lemon, we were able to turn lemon into lemonade. So yeah, I think the commissions were 11,500 plus change, and I'm not sure what you gentlemen at the end of the day got because you had expenses, other things to incur as well. But I think around 27,000 might have been a total payout, so maybe
Yes.
16,000. But again, it was mission impossible after the initial wow, this is so fantastic, and we still pulled it off together. So appreciate you
Yeah.
giving me a
So
chance.
no, appreciate you for all the work that you put into this deal.
Thank you.
When the links appear, I know this story. When the links appear, I say, "Fuck it, I don't want to deal with that. I'm not going to work for that. I will
Too much
I will
work
get
for
my
the money. Yes, not worth
yes,
it. Mm,
yeah."
yeah,
Or maybe you work and then you don't get paid because the attorneys don't want to get the
correct.
links back. So at the end of the day, we could get the money, help the seller out because the it was a divorce situation
Mhm.
and a pre-foreclosure.
Yeah.
So it was a crazy story. Like they are not right now. They didn't lose the house. Um,
And if I
uh,
may interject, as two individuals starting new lives again, thanks to you, they don't have foreclosures on their records. Neither was forced to go into bankruptcy because both were thinking of going through with the bankruptcy, but neither had to. And thanks to our collective effort, their wife's divorce debt got wiped out in total for $10,000 settlement. The husband's 63,000 was reduced to 53 because the divorce attorneys are total sharks. But still, he got something out of it because 63,000 went down to 53,000, which hopefully they will chisel down over time. But these two people who went through total nightmare for whatever personal reasons, ending up in a nasty divorce, losing the house, filing bankruptcies, neither is going to be crucified for 4 to 7 years due to bankruptcy and foreclosure happening because we made sure neither happened. So that was exciting.
Amazing. And
Yes.
a few days after we finish this house closing, we get a new listing that it was really really nice and ain't find a buyer in less than 24 hours. So
Yeah.
can you talk a little bit about that house as well?
Yeah.
I will talk a
So
little bit about the
interesting.
situation.
Yeah. Yeah. So interesting
So
proposition there. We listed it at 2 o'clock in the morning. My phone started ringing at 7 o'clock in the morning. But out of all of the phone calls, it was a lot of FHA, VA, conventional, 3% down, 5% down, whatever. But one of the ones was an investor that had seen that address in pre foreclosure advertising, and they were sharpening their teeth to go to the courthouse steps and buy it. I got them to give me everything I needed, which was you have to buy it sight unseen because I wasn't sure yet if we could get into the house, wasn't sure about the temperature, behavior to expect from the seller, etc. So I said, listen, you obviously know the house because you were going to pursue it at the courthouse steps. At the courthouse steps, I have personally been in situations where I come with cashier's checks for 100, 200, $300,000, and what I think to buy at a certain number goes way over because of the frenzy of the courthouse steps bidding. And I will never forget one. I could have bought one of the other neighboring units for a lot less after having seen it, inspected it, and so on, compared to the price that was to be paid for a different unit in the same street because of the foreclosure sale. So I said to this buyer, because you have to know who you're talking to, I said, listen, I have my phone is going hot. Everybody's ringing. Everybody wants it. They're trying to pay any number of dollars to get it. However, since you have cash, you know the house, you were going to buy it in a foreclosure, well, courthouse step sale. I can tell you that with us, you will be able to buy it now if you accept the terms I dictate. If not, you could have, if we hadn't picked it up, you could have gone to the courthouse steps and paid most likely more because of the bidding frenzy. So this is what I want: sight unseen, no contingencies, no inspection, no appraisal, no due diligence, no thought process, nothing. We want $10,000 earnest money. We want it with our closing attorney. We want to close next week, so 7-day turnaround. And the number has to be more than what we published, which was 379.9. So they started at 379.9 with all of my terms. I said, listen, I have people queuing up. So unless you pay us at least 10,000 more, get at the back of the line. All of that was white lie after white lie after white lie. But they didn't know that. And I knew I had them by the throat, if not the privates, because I knew they had done all of the research they could have done prior to foreclosure, getting ready to buy it at the courthouse steps. And the gamble worked out. I got absolutely everything I wanted. Then I got a backup contract, similar conversation, except they could not close in a month, in a week. So they wanted to close in a month. And that to me is not attractive because then you don't know what they're doing in the background. If you have cash, you should be able to close in 5-7 days. If you can't, if you're not prepared to do that, you're not a player because something's going on. You're probably getting a loan in the background. So now we are going to closing hopefully on Wednesday. Other than the title, which hopefully comes in tonight or tomorrow, there's nothing else to wait on because the seller has agreed to show up to closing. The buyer is coming to closing because I squeezed them for everything and they know they better deliver. The closing attorney is ready. Agustin, we are all ready other than waiting for the title to come back. Hopefully no nasty divorces or surprises. It doesn't look that way. But again, we'll know once the title is in.
That's amazing. And have you been familiar with something that we was doing with the pre-foreclosure,
No,
like stopping the foreclosure? Uh,
with bankruptcy filings.
we we use bankruptcy filings just when we need, like if it's 1 hour or 2 hours before the auction or the same
Yep.
day,
Yep.
just to secure that the house will not go to foreclose. But we have another techniques.
Yep. So I'm not
Um,
aware of anything else because the bankruptcy, I've used that for a couple of clients myself. So I'd love to learn what else can be done.
so that's not my specialist. The mother of Isaiah, she's the one that she's in charge of talking with the banks and negotiate that.
Yep.
But basically, what we do, we for the people that they don't know, we negotiate with the bank, say that they have an offer in place right now. They are going to get full in pay full,
Payout. Mm-hmm.
payout
Mm-hmm.
in the next 20 to 30 days,
Mm-hmm.
and we send a letter of a notary, sign it
Yep.
with a notary and the seller, so they stop the foreclose. With that,
Excellent.
last year we stopped more than 500 foreclosures. This year we are excited to say that we should be able to stop at least 1,000.
Excellent.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, at least 100 in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is really good because you are helping out the seller out,
Mm-hmm.
giving some money on the pocket as well.
Mm-hmm.
Worst case scenario, if there is no other way to get around, um, the payoff came so high and the house is not worth it, we have to
Yeah.
do a short sale. We do that as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was amazing to meet you. Basically, we are going to be doing a ton of money. I don't think we are going to be doing less than 200K, 50 this year
Mm-hmm.
each
Mm-hmm.
side.
Excellent.
More that how the speed is working. Think that we just start marketing Atlanta for the people that they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, my main market is Texas, and that's what all I do. Like I love Houston, Dallas, DSW, Austin,
Mm-hmm.
and we start Atlanta on December, finish of December.
Fantastic. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, by January we got two contracts. We have another contract that it was a sub two that it was sold
Mm-hmm.
in the same time, like 24 hours. I'm loving Atlanta so far. I never
Yes.
been to Atlanta. I don't know nothing about Atlanta. I don't know what areas are good, what areas are bad. I just know that the numbers work and there are a ton of buyers.
Yeah. And the
Uh,
good part in Atlanta is you can pretty much sell anything anywhere if the value is right.
Amazing. Why is that happening in Atlanta? Can you tell us a little bit about the market? Why it's
Atlanta
moving
is
so fast?
yeah, no, Atlanta is, well, first of all, before Istanbul built the new terminal, we were the biggest airport in the world. It's a huge business magnet. There are so many companies moving in, headquarters, regional headquarters, or whatever. People are constantly on the move. While the rest of the world might be going down, Atlanta is always having more and more demand because of the influx of population. So, and also it's full of investors. There's a lot of money. I've never seen as much cash as I saw here during COVID. Everybody seemed to be paying cash. So it's a rich city. There's a lot of money to be had. Most people understand real estate and real estate investments if they have any kind of money. The stock market has gone erratic, unpredictable, very unattractive by and large. Everybody and their brother wants to invest in real estate. And that's why, if the numbers work, it doesn't matter where the property is, people buy real estate. So it can be not only in the suburbs, but in far yonder areas of Greater Atlanta where you have to drive 2 hours to Flowery Branch. Or it feels like you're going to Timbuktu. and it still sells because there are investors that will be with deep pockets full of money in outlying regions as well.
Love it. You know what? We have another opportunity that just
Mm,
coming into
mhm.
the CRM. I seen it right now.
Yep.
Let me tell you where is it.
Excellent.
So you have a new house to list. In
Fantastic. Yes.
do you go in? Let me see a little bit about this
Mhm.
one. Do you do some marketing or it's all word to mouth right now?
You know, so I
Your
believe the
business.
only way, no, as far as my business goes, I do zero marketing. I have more business than I can handle. So I always have somebody wanting to sell me advertising or websites. I haven't looked at my website since it was developed in 98. I don't want any advertising per se because the bandwidth has been always okay. How many more hours in the day can I work? The only good part is I have gotten 3 out of my 4 kids real estate licenses. So, other than 16 people, I also have my own young professionals that are now coming through when I need anything done. But my problem is I love to do things. Any of my listings, by and large, at some point, people get to see me. I'm not the one that recruits 600 people and never goes in the field. I don't I personally don't like signing people up to my company. 16 people that I have are all friends, people that I trust, that I know, that I can tell them to go and do whatever if I can't get to it, because I do try to go to Florida at some point. But talking about advertising, no. And most of my business is because of the previous business and the expansion of that. So if you will ask me to start advertising in Atlanta, unless I look at what you are doing, I am not in that space.
So that's why do you think most of the agents right now they are paid to check, like they cannot make some money and they are all going out of the business right now? Why
Well,
is
because
that?
people can't make a living doing real estate unless they are working very hard. They're aggressive. They have a personality that can talk to anybody about everything. But you have to be a value add. The reason why I took off like a meteorite is I knew construction because my ex husband was a very good builder, one of the top 3 builders in Fayetteville, Georgia's Peachtree City, Fayetteville area. So very she, all Delta Airlines, all of the pilots, flight attendants living there, whatever. When I went to look at property with customers, I could tell them on site what things would cost. New windows, new doors, new siding, new roofing, new bathroom, new kitchen, new cabinets, new cover, whatever. The agents have to offer something that is uniquely their own, which saves people time, hassle, and therefore people want to work with them. But most realtors, they think that they get the license and suddenly they're going to be making money. That is total illusion, because most folks need to work their 212 for 2 3 years before they start making money, unless they get into, like yourselves, wholesaling. If you give them the guidance and you say, okay, these are the areas, this is what you do, where you go, what you say, but you have to do some serious training for people to know how to make money in real estate.
Amazing.
Mm.
That's a really good knowledge. Right now, I launched my course and my mastermind
Mhm.
for people in Spanish. I
Mhm.
helping. You know that we do a ton of subject to deals, seller finance,
Yes, love
of core
those.
cash
Mhm.
and wholesaling.
Yep.
I'm teaching them how to do it and how to be a good realtor as well, how to
Yep.
build systems, how to delegate because they are tasks that they are not super good. Like do open houses. Nothing bad with doing open houses or showing a house, but if you can
Yep.
have someone that knows what are doing and delegate
Mhm.
your time, that takes so much time.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, to fill an open house with a really good number of real buyers, you have to
Yep.
have a really good database.
Yep.
So I'm showing people how to do it basically.
Yeah. So,
We
mhm,
start selling it the course
mhm.
week and a half ago. We currently are 26 people in it
Excellent.
in just 2 weeks.
Mhm.
Um, I've been working so hard for this. And yeah, if you want to connect with us, work with Ain, work with me, just give us a DM. We are going to be more than happy to sell your houses and make
Excellent.
some money together.
Sounds
What do
exciting.
you? What was the impression with you when you told when I told you I was 22?
My jaw dropped and I was totally thrilled because I have four kids who are 22 to 30. I thought to myself, wow, sky's the limit. I need to get my kids to recognize that you can do incredible things by your age. So, definitely a motivating factor. I can't tell them to do as I do because I'm about to turn 62. So they would say, Mom, but you have 40 years experience. When I put somebody like you in front of them, it's like, no, 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 no. It's not 40 years experience. It's the personality. It's the creativity. It's the genius. You can have it now at 22. You don't have to wait until 40 years of experience has given you something. So very exciting.
I agree, and it's all about hard work,
Yes.
dedication, studying,
Yes.
fail at the same time. I lose a ton of money on my beginnings in real estate,
Like
starting
in
to
most
flipping.
businesses. Yes.
Yeah, start flipping, doing really bad flipping, then start wholesaling. Everyone was making money, I wasn't.
Uh,
And right now we have a success business that is doing more than 80 to 100K a month.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
you
But
have to
again, if
learn
you
the
know how to
process.
attract, yeah, good resources with all of the people that you are training to get into real estate licensing and so on, you build a structure that is going to feed the machine. So I think that's fantastic.
Have you heard about the book Listen How to Listen with Intention?
No, so I should
Okay.
read that next week. Yes,
Yeah, you should read that next week and give it to all your sons to
yes,
know how to influence people and how you can the best people at sale and on
yeah,
personal life as well.
excellent. And
Um,
the one thing that blew me away was you were always amazing. Whenever I called you, amazing. Everything was amazing. I said, my God, the energy is pumping through the phone lines. Thrilled. So amazing was probably the best start of the whole relationship.
that's
Amazing.
true. That's what the book says. It's good to know.
Ah, okay.
It's not what
Amazing.
it says, but when you think being and you are with positive energy, just the things flow
Yeah.
to your end basically.
Yes. Very good.
And
Yes.
things happens and you are able to solve. That's what we do. We solve problems. When we are on a transaction, there is a hundred of problems that they will came through, like the past deal that we
Yeah.
made with AIM.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
are here to solve sellers' problem at the same time. Of course, the bigger problem you solve, the more money you make. So
Yes. Exciting.
that's what
Good.
life says.
Excellent. Excellent. But there's also the karma, the payback, because I sold a $6 million home to a client that I have already sold five, six other properties to. Because when you have an interaction with somebody who appreciates who you are, what you bring to the table, how you transact the business, and you are honest and full of integrity and goodwill to do the best possible for people that you work with, they keep coming to you with the business and more business and bigger business because, again, most the reason why generally I don't go out and advertise my business, everybody that at some point I have had a touch point with, I repeat them as customers, keep them as customers, which I think is what you are doing with all of the people that you are touching, whether it's sellers or buyers or people that you recruit and train. So every touch point becomes an anchor for the future.
That's what I say to people. Like real estate is a relationship game. Like if
Yes,
I wouldn't met you on the first transaction, we wouldn't connect it. We wouldn't doing this podcast, bringing
correct,
value to the
correct,
community.
correct.
We are going to be doing like in the two transaction almost like 100K.
Excellent.
So that's the powerful of the relationships that we are bringing. More
Yeah,
relationships and better relationship is what grows the business basically.
yes, agreed. Exciting. So I might be out of my battery. It's
Okay.
3:41. Are you all about to wrap up?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Yeah,
And
you
if
are
I drop
free
off, I
now.
apologize in advance.
No, no problem. Just tell the people what's the best way to invest in real estate. Like what they should be looking for, and some learns on the process when you was investing. And I let you go.
Yeah. Okay. So if I don't get cut off, the best example is my friends telling me during the last 6 years, and you seem to be intelligent. How come you're buying properties in a high market? It makes no sense. I said, listen, I don't care if it's a high market or low market. If the numbers work for me for rentals, I will continue buying and continue investing. So if I expect to make $2,000 a month in a rental, $3,000 a month in a rental, whatever, all I do is I multiply it to come up with, if I want to have a gross 10% return on the money. So you say 2,000 per month, 12 months, 24,000, multiply roughly by 10%, 240,000. That's what I want to pay as a max number for the property that I'm looking to buy. Did that consistently from about 5 years ago. Sold properties over time as I did remodel and said, okay, I'll sell this one to buy something else, whatever. But I would make between 40,000 in 24 hours to 115,000 in 2.5 years, because the market continued rising beyond when I bought it. And if it had collapsed, it still would not have caused me any damage because I was renting and making a gross 10% return on the money. So I think that's the easiest way to pursue what to buy and what not to buy. And it's immune to, oh my God, the market is hot, we should wait until it collapses. All of my friends that have been waiting for it to collapse, my properties have doubled, sometimes almost tripled in value, and they haven't bought anything. We've had 13% inflation. The money is worth significantly less, and they hold nothing other than money in a stock market that has lost them huge percentages of what they put in. So when everybody thought
100%
I was
agree.
intelligent but crazy stupid buying in a high market, I don't say anything to anybody, but I look at the numbers and I'm ecstatic that I continue doing what I did.
One of my mentors says you lose money in real estate only when you sell,
Yes,
because you're
exactly.
leaving money on the table.
Yes. Yes.
The market will always go up.
Correct.
You cannot compare to. Amy was saying she has 10% cash on cash return just with the cash flow of the house, just with the
Yes.
monthly income. So
Correct.
imagine that, plus the appreciation, plus the depreciation benefits that we have. So we barely pay taxes.
Correct.
We just pay property taxes and that's it.
Yes.
It's basically a win-win situation for everyone, and we are saying
Well,
that
yes.
the market doubled in 4 years, 5 years. So you have 100%. So you have 20% yearly in 5 years plus the 10%.
Mhm.
We are talking more than 35% yearly return on your money. Tell me if S&P 500 will give you that. I think I ran out of battery. Ok, lo cortamos acá porque la perdimos. Estuvo increíble. Véanlo de vuelta, entiéndanlo. Nos vemos.